All right, well, we might as well get started. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Gunn, and I'm the coordinator of digital scholarship at Catholic University of America Libraries. I'm joined by my colleague, Michaela Champion, one of our awesome graduate library pre-professionals, and Michaela will be monitoring the chat for any questions. This workshop is being recorded and will be made available at a later date, along with the slides. So today we're going to explore the Gale Digital Scholar Lab. I should mention a special thank you to Dr. Sarah Ketchley from Gale, who gave us permission to use a number of the slides for today's presentation. So one of the nice features of the lab is that there is a robust support for research. For researchers, if you have specific questions or you really get the sense that you're not abandoned, there's a lot of different ways that you can get help. And I'm going to show you a number of ways. So I should mention that we librarians are working on this lab, and we're building our expertise moving forward. So what we'll do today is we'll do a quick overview of the lab. I'll do a couple demonstrations, nothing deep or penetrating, just to give you a sense of what the lab is about. I'll show you various features of the lab that really make this, I'm excited about this particular digital humanities platform because it brings a lot of components together for students and for faculty and researchers in working on projects. And so we'll explore the lab while we're discussing the whole idea of digital scholarship, digital humanities workflow. So the lab was designed for faculty and students to begin doing research in text mining. The lab is a convergence of thousands of documents, text mining techniques, and best practices in digital humanities. So the advantage of the lab is that it saves the researcher time in collecting documents, which sometimes can be a very arduous task and very time-consuming as well. You know, how to do basic text analysis without learning programming language, coding being one, or using the command line. So the lab shows you what you need to consider when doing text mining in the digital humanities. So a great feature about this is that you can keep all your content in one place. So it's cloud-based content where you can create a material and textual analysis. This platform is really great. It contains content not only from the Gale primary sources, but you can also bring in your own material as well. There are 6 GUI-based open source tools for text analysis, and they do intend to add more at some point. There's an integrated learning center where you can get immediate feedback about what it is that you're working on or you're struggling with. There's a text cleaning component in the platform, which makes it very useful. You can upload TXT content to work within the platform. And you also are able to, once you've done your work in the platform, you're able to download visualizations and statistical data and content sets you build in your session for use with outside tools. So it's the really great thing about the platform is that it's very flexible. So if you only wanted to clean your data, you can upload your data, clean it, and take it elsewhere, download it and take it elsewhere. So you don't have to use the entire platform. All right, so the whole idea of the platform, it starts with the documentation. So you have the raw source, in this case, newspapers, for example. They've been microfiched many years ago, and they are listed here. You can see that it can be quite dense. They may not be as useful or readable. than the original. So what they do is they can convert raw OCR text, convert it into raw OCR text. They do have an OCR confidence component. So that's something that when you're working with the platform, you'll need to be cognizant of, that your documents may have a high OCR confidence level or they may have low ones. So you may have to clean up some data before you can actually do some actual analysis. So you have the raw OCR text, and then from there you can pull out your statistical output and get a sense of what your documents, your data set, your data content set is about. And then from there you can create visualization outputs as well. So you have the ability to upload user content, 10 megabytes at any one time, and you can upload multiple 10 megabyte blocks. So I don't recall the upper limit. There's a vast upper limit. Talking with some of the folks at Gale, they say there is an upper limit there, but it's very, very rare for researchers to reach that. Very rare. So most people have a limit of like 10,000 documents. That's that sort of level that doesn't approach what their higher limit is at Gale. So just something to keep in mind. These documents do have to be in text format. So you may have to do some preliminary cleaning before, or conversion from Word to text, for example, in order to get the text ready for analysis. So you can add your own content, you can build data sets with it, you can clean the data set, and you can analyze it. So if you were working on a project where you just needed the data set cleaned, you can do just that. So you can combine your set with Gale sets, and there are Gale primary sources components available. So just looking at this slide here, what you have is the number of features that you can do. You're always working with their data, and you're always adding content and value to that. So here's a sense where you have your text listed, and then on the right-hand side, you have your document data. So you can add your own document data in there. You can keep track of what it is that you've uploaded into your content sets and how you're using them. So one of the nice features of the platform is that they have sample projects that you can explore and work with and get a feel for the platform before you take the dive into your own project. So it's good to test out some theories that you have before you actually go and work with your own data. So we'll take a quick look at one of the projects moving forward. So with this particular slide here, you get an overview of the digital humanities workflow for any given project. So you begin with a research question, and obviously that research question can often lead to other research questions. So very much, this is very much a reiterative process. So the process is cyclical and will take most of your time before you get to interpret your results. So the first step in that is, building your content set. So you refine attributes of the documents you want to evaluate the results, and if necessary, redo the search. So you can examine OCR results, and if necessary, exclude some documents if they have poor OCR, for example. Next step is the cleaning process. So you want to shift to cleaning OCR and the attributes. And if you talk with any data scientists, they're going to tell you that most of their time is spent just working on cleaning your data set to make sure that it's workable. And I'll show you a quick way how you can go about doing that. Then the third step is analyzing. So you want to analyze your data set with the techniques described. It is important to look at the complete picture of your research project. So you need to look at the big picture from beginning to end. So if you're looking, for example, if you are examining the works of Jane Austen, a research question could be, how often do the words love and Mr. appear in the same sentence? So you would consider using the Ngram method, we'll get to that in a bit, to answer that. So and other methods, tools would not be effective in that. So if you're in, so another example would be if you were interested in how the word love is used in a negative way in a Jane Austen work, then sentiment analysis would be the proper way to go. So here are the 6 main tools that are used within the Gale platform. And let's say, so the outputs that these are the outputs that you can work with. So these techniques have been around for a while and they're established, so you can rely on them. And they're great entry points for new researchers who want to get started in text mining, for teachers who want to teach these techniques to their students, and for students who are just dipping their toes into digital humanities projects for the first time. So they will be adding more tools in the future, apparently. So there's 2 different ways you can go, 2 different types of analyses. One is a quantitative analysis. Basically, you're looking at numerical accounts. So you have Ngrams. So that's how many times the word is present in your particular data set. And how does it collate with other words within your data set? Second one is parts of speech. So you can analyze, look for parts of speech through tagging the parts of speech within your data set and then running analyses on that. And then third, you have what is called named entity recognition. So how often is a name mentioned and where is it located in a particular text within that particular data set? Your second way of doing analysis is qualitative analysis. So this is where you're relying on the user, that's you, to provide context. So if you're doing sentiment analysis, and here's where you're examining the negative or positive words present, you would be adding a particular sentiment analysis code to bring forth how you would evaluate certain words in that. So there's different, how would I say, dictionaries out there for sentiment analysis. And what they've done is used, they go through and create a lot of words, a list of words that each one has a negative value or a positive value or a neutral value. So when you do a search within a particular data set, it's tagging those particular words and then evaluating them. The second type of qualitative analysis is clustering. So this allows the researcher to bring their statistical knowledge to analyzing a document set. So that is something where you have to bring your own understanding of statistics to that to be quite useful. They do have tools in here, the tool that you can use, but it does help to have that background information, that knowledge. And then third is topic modeling. And this allows the user to lump all the words in a data set into a list of 10 or so topics to, excuse me, to understand what the document is about. So if you're not too sure what your document set is about or what are the main topics of that document set, you can do topic modeling. And what it does, it runs through very quickly your documents many times, and it will sort out all the words and put them into particular, say, 10 baskets, if you will. And this will tell you a good idea of what that data set is about. So there is extensive literatures on each of these methods, and your research will probably use a number of these methods. So another component of the Gale Digital Scholar Lab is digital humanities curriculum and literacy. So you're just not doing a bunch of searches and that, you're actually looking at a research project and all the dimensions listed within a particular project. So here we have the different modules listed and the concepts of different types of literacies that you need to sort of have moving forward and that you can learn within the platform. All right. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to go to the lab and we're going to take a look at it. So I put this up here on the up on the screen here. So if you want to go to libraries.catholic.edu, so here's our main library website. So where you want to go is Research Help, and you want to go down to Gale Digital Scholar Lab. So I'm going to click on that. And this gives you a very quick overview here. And you can access the lab right here. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm off campus, so I'm going to have to log in. All right. And if you are successful, you'll have landed at this page. So first thing we want to do is we want to either log in or create an account. So go ahead and click on that. And you'll get a page like this or similar, and it'll ask you to go through so you can sign in with Google or Microsoft or whatever your preference is. I'm going to do it with Google. Okay, good. So here you are. If you're creating an account right now, that's great. Let me know when you were done. Otherwise, I'll wait a few seconds here and then I'll continue on. Okay, I logged in, and what it comes up with is this particular page. It's called Personal or Working Group. They've just recently added the working group and notebook phase. What is this for? Is that if you have students working on projects together, then you can create a working group right here. And going forward with that, you have a sort of a mini platform within the DS platform, and you can work, students and teachers can work on particular projects. So that is a very a new thing. They've only rolled it out in the past few months. So just mentioning that, I'm not going to really show it right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go use the personal. All right, so here we go. And you can tell you're logged in because if you look right up here, it says signed in here, Kevin B, right top right-hand corner. So you know you're within it. Okay, so we're logged in and we're ready to go. What they immediately like to show you, very user-friendly, is how to build, clean, and analyze your project. So you can learn more about the build step here. And I'm just going to click on that. Just to give you a sense. So they break it down here: search strategy, search results, building a content set, and that. Nice little overview, and we'll scroll through here. So you begin to see that you're bringing your own knowledge to this particular database, to this platform, but you still will need to learn some new things. So, for example, if you've used our library catalog search box, that sort of thing, I would hope that you're familiar with using Boolean operators. So the first step is, if you're going to look for material in the Gale databases, then it's a good idea to know how to do searching properly. So they have ways here that can help you with that. So I just wanted to show that very quickly. And when you look at this, so you go through that process and you have clean text for computational analysis. So if we look at the clean step, they'll tell you can create a clean configuration from scratch. And then what's very important is that you can test your configuration. So let me do this. I'm going to do the clean configuration. So there, it tells you about the method, it tells you what sort of configurations that you have, how you can go about doing corrections. So if you'll notice right here, when you get into nitty-gritty here, they have a list of stop words. So there are a lot of words out there that you don't really want to know about, articles, for example, that sort of thing, and other words that you're not interested. So you want your analysis to ignore these. So they have the words here, and you can even create your own stop word set as well. And there's many stop words lists on the web, some more established than others, but you get that sense of possibilities that you can use. All right. And there's a lot of cleaning up with the data set. So, I mean, you can very much look at, do you want to remove ASCII characters? Do you want to remove number characters? All these sorts of things, special characters. And I'll show you some more of that in a bit. Let's see, back here. I'm going to go right to analysis. So they walk you through the process and they talk to you about the different tools and that, and how you can use them. So my point is there's a lot of great help that you can use right here. So you're probably asking, what exactly is available to me here within the Gale platform in terms of content. So what texts are available? See the available archives. So Gale has hundreds of databases, right? And as a university, we can only subscribe to a certain number of them, which is great. So we do. And then within that, only a certain number of those are available for text analysis. So here's our list at Catholic University of America libraries. So if you are at a different institution, different university, they may have a different set of library products. So it's something to keep in mind. So you have everything from American fiction, Archives Unbound. We have Olivia, name a library here at Catholic University. We've got that up on the Gale platform. And then you notice a lot of really great stuff. So 18th century collections online, that's a lot of stuff, and 19th century collections online as well. So if you're looking at literature, history, politics, all that sort of stuff, there's a lot of good material within here. They also have particular subsets, if you will. So in this case, if you just want to examine political extremism and radicalism, you can do that. If you're looking at public health during this period, you can do that too. So there's quite a bit in here. And they will be adding new material over the next few years from their large collection. So it will only get better. So just to reiterate the point here, because I really want to show you the wonders of this. On the left-hand side here, they have Visit the Learning Center. Like I said, after today's workshop, if you just want to go in and explore, I would recommend checking out the Learning Center and then just going through and looking at all the videos and overviews. So all these pages, these links here, they do have more content available to you. All right, so I'm going to look at a particular site here. I should mention, let's see, point it up here. Just in passing, you have, analyzing and these sorts, analyzing, building and analyzing that. You also want to adopt good data management techniques. So organizing, my content sets, it's good to plan out how you're going to keep everything organized. Are you going to have just one folder for your search project or maybe multiple folders? What sort of naming are you going to give your data sets or your files, that sort of thing? So you have to spend a little bit of time planning and organizing. So I just wanted to mention that. Data management practices, if you do it at the beginning of your project, it'll save you a lot of time and aggravation throughout the whole process. All right, so looking at this particular project here, the rise of electricity in the late 19th and early 20th century. So this is just a wonderful little project. And what it does is it walks you through the process here. So you have the overview of what it is that you're researching. You can get a copy of the content set from here and use that. There's even a thinking guide here that helps you work your way through this. If you look at ideate, so you can begin to get a sense of what kind of questions that you can ask. So, how do two serial publications treat the topic of electricity in the late 19th and 20th century, early 20th century? So these are sort of questions that you can ask moving forward. Looking at build, it will tell you how you can walk through the process and the different search limiters that you can use. And then there's the cleaning configuration. And, as you're cleaning, you're also considering, okay, am I doing topic modeling? Am I doing sentiment analysis? Am I doing Ngrams? So if you are searching for the distinction between, let's say, Mr. Miller and then the occupation Miller, then it doesn't serve your purpose to have all your text as lowercase. So if you're looking for Mr. Miller, that's not going to help you. You're not going to find anything. So when you're cleaning, a data set, you have to be very cognizant of what it is that you want to show at the end. Then you have the whole analysis. I won't get into that. And then obviously you want to interpret. So you have your original questions and then how have I answered those original questions? All right. See, the next thing we want to do. So on the left-hand side here, you'll notice curriculum materials. So for teachers who want to use this, they have some wonderful, great things you can start with. For example, the syllabi that you can create. There's also learning objectives provided here. And they also have end-to-end project outlines. So they also have an analysis template here if you're interested in doing that. I really recommend to anyone, students, teachers, faculty, researchers, whoever, to use the analysis template as a way to think through from beginning to end how your project's going to go. All right. So let us build a data set. I'm going to go right up the top here, top right-hand corner, and we're going to build something. So here's our page here. You can add notes. It gives you helpful tips on how to do searching and that. And right down here, tells you how you can go about it. So I'm not going to do anything terribly sophisticated here. I'm just going to use this particular set. So feminism and Gloria Steinem. So I'm going to search that. Search for documentations. And here's what I get. I get 308 results. Not too bad, I guess. And it lists a whole bunch of features here. So let me break it down. So the first thing, the title and the author. It'll also tell you the OCR confidence. In this case, it just wasn't captured. So you can look at this OCR confidence to say, oh, why didn't they? And they can tell you why. Condition of the original document itself could be an issue, and all these different things. The equipment used for the original scan could be various different reasons. Now you look over here, you have OCR 64%. Oh, that's very interesting. And you'll notice it is in the Times, June 11th, 2011. The archive is the Gale archive, the Times Digital Archive. It tells you that's from a newspaper and that it's an editorial. So let me just click on that. And what pops up is the actual article that's been scanned. And then the actual OCR on the right-hand side. So you can look at this and say, does it capture everything that I wanted? Are there spelling errors, that sort of thing? So you can take that, you can clean that, you can export it out, clean it somewhere else, let's say Open Refine, for example, and then bring it back in and use it. So you have a lot of different ways that you can evaluate this. So just taking a look at that, and sometimes it's worthwhile to take a take a look at the particular this, and you can compare this, just reading this and then seeing how well it works with the OCR. You can use these features up here. So quite useful in that regard. So I'm going to go back to results. So if I want to limit my search, I have all these different ways that I can limit my search. So 308 was too much. I can limit by publication date, a particular archives, publication title. It's fun to look at these because you get a sense of where the titles are coming from. So here's a lot from the Sunday Times or just the Times, the American Radicalism collection. So you get a sense of what's available within this particular search pattern here. And you can restrict your search to those. If you look at document types, maybe you just want to look at manuscripts, or maybe you're just looking at editorials, that sort of thing. So this is a way that you can limit your search just in that regard. And if you want to look at, say, content types, it's much more expansive. You have periodicals, newspapers, periodicals, monographs, then a lot of manuscripts. So that's very interesting that they have that sort of thing. So you have that. So let's say, for the sake of argument, that we're fine with this. So I selected this. It gives me the first 100. I could select all 308, but in those, it gives you a little note saying, this may take a little time to download. So you may want to think about that. So that's fine. So I selected all those, and I'm going to add to a content set right up here. And I'm going to say, I'm going to add a new content set. I was doing a little test earlier today, but let me do this. It's 02/27/2023 afternoon. So there we go. We'll just do after. How's that? So now I have created my own content set, and it's up there, and I can view the content set if I want to. So here it is. Notice it only says 100 documents listed here. And it breaks it down into various formats you can look at. I would also, At this point, you can download it and take it away with you if you wanted to. Now, let's say I've got this, but I also have a document that I want to add. So I can go back to build. Right, so I was doing the searches earlier, but I can also drag and drop something. So I can drag and drop, let's see. In this case, I'm going to put this particular text in here. It's from the British National Corpus. Or pardon me, it's from the Brown Corpus, National Corpus. So I put this in here, it's just a text file. Then I can add it to my content set. And it says, which one, man? So I go this one and select that. It's been added. And if I know, if I want to check just to make sure, I can go to my content sets. Here are my content sets. I've got a whole bunch of projects going on right now. And there it is, listed right here. And now I know I have my Gale documents, but I also have my uploaded documents set here. So there you go. All right. So next step is we want to clean. So I'm going to click on the clean function. What it does, it'll ask you, to create a cleaning configuration. So I've got all these different cleaning configurations and that. So I'm just going to do the default. You have, I mentioned the starter list, the stop words that listed here. I mentioned here too, the text correction. So this can get kind of interesting. So if you want to remove all special characters, you can remove all these sorts of characters as you wish, or keep them in. Punctuation, you can also remove all this. So you do have a lot of flexibility. Also spacing, white space, you want to get rid of some of this if you possibly can. And if you're looking at document sections, maybe you just want to take a lot of this stuff out right away. You'll also notice it has replacements. So if you ever worked with OCR in that, if something reads a document and an error might creep in, and what'll happen is usually they'll keep a symbol or something will pop up. Let's say this and this. So an ampersand and a dollar sign, let's say, will keep popping up, and it'll be, and you read through the OCR and you realize it's popping up every time the letter R is supposed to be there. Well, this is a good way that you can do some cleaning. If you're aware of this, you can just put that in, replace this with R. And that's one very little quick way that you can do cleaning on this, very specific. So I won't do anything like that. So what we can do is we can actually do a test configuration and just see what we get here. Oh, okay. So here it is, and it's downloaded up here. I won't go into it precisely, but that's how you can take a look at that. Let me see. Oh, yeah, okay. All right. So there it is. You can clean that. You've got your set going. Now you can go and analyze it. So here's my content set. And now because I planned ahead, I know what tools I'm going to use and what tools to ignore. So what I'm going to do is going to go right up here to add tool. And they list a number of the tools listed, given here, and you can learn more about each one as you go in. So I wanted to just look at, say, Ngrams, for example, certain words, whatever listed there. What kind of words are listed here? So I'm going to go to add Ngrams. And it takes a second to load. So here it is. So I'm going to do this, select that, and then I'm going to run it. One of the things about running these, it can take a few seconds or it can take a few minutes, depending on how much documentation you have, how large your data set is. So right now you can see in progress listed here. So probably should take about 22 seconds or so. And then once it's ready, it'll say ready to go. And if it doesn't finish very soon, I'll just have to take a look at the view and see how we see what we have so far. All right. Let's see, we can add another tool here. Do we want to do topic modeling on this? Because that's kind of time consuming. All right, so I'm going to take a look at this. And you immediately get a sense of the top 100 Ngrams in here. And you can take a look at, obviously, we are going to need to clean this up because we have periods and commas and hyphens and all that sort of thing. So it's not very useful. So we know we skipped a few steps here and clean this up. So as we go through, we can take a look at some of the words here. So we get a sense of what's in there, but it's kind of messy. So if I were to look and say, hey, women's kind of neat here, term frequency, let me click on that. And what it does, it gives you, breaks it down into frequencies, percentages and that sort of thing, where they can be located. And then you can go to these particular files if you need to. And that. So you do have that sense of it. So if you want to do a word cloud instead, you can go up here and you can click on the word cloud. There you go. And as you can see, still needs a lot of work, right? So you get a sense of these words and you can click on something of these words, women obviously listed there, working, and again, you can see that. So that's a quick demonstration of a couple of the tools here. And that. So that is basically a breakdown of how you can use this particular Digital Scholar Lab for research in that. I think you'll get a sense that there's a lot available here within the subtext, within these particular pages that you can go in. You can really get, go down a rabbit hole, so to speak. So definitely, play with it, experiment with it. If you need help, you can reach out to the folks at Gale. If you have, you can also reach out to me and I can help you with particular projects as well too. So let me see. So my contact information is right here. It's gunn@cua.edu if you want to reach out and talk about it. So that's in a nutshell. Does anyone have any questions? No? It can be overwhelming. All right. Well, if there's not any questions, then I would say thank you everyone for coming. And once the recording's available, I'll send them out to everyone and the slides as well. Okay, so thank you very much for coming out today. Bye-bye. Oh, we have a chat. Oh, thank you very much. Bye-bye.